All right, let's continue with solving quadratic equations and completing the square. This is part 2. Let's go through an example together. So here's a quadratic equation, and we are going to go through and solve. So first, remember to isolate the constant. So that would be 2x squared minus 10x. We're going to isolate that. That becomes negative 11 to the other side. Okay, that's the first thing we do. Then notice that we have this coefficient in front, has to be taken out as a factor. So let's factor that out. So that would be 2x squared minus 5x. I'm going to leave a little bit of a space so that we know that we need to do something here in this area, because we need to add a constant term, so that makes that a perfect square trinomial. Great. We're going to go through the process that we take the coefficient of the linear term, that is minus 5. Okay, so that's the coefficient right here that we're going to deal with. This is the minus 5 we're going to take. Half of minus 5 is negative 2.5, and we're going to add that. That's negative 20.1. We're going to square that, and we're going to add that to the inside of that bracket. Okay, and then equals, the other side is negative 11. Now here's the important piece. So we can't just add stuff to one side of an equation and ignore it from the other side. So whatever we do to the one side of the equation, we must do it to the other side. Okay, so what have we done here? So let me rewrite this. But even though we added inside the bracket plus 6.25, that's an addition of 6.25, we actually, this 2 is being multiplied by that. So that is 2 times 6.25 we added. That means we actually added 12.5, not 6.25, because that 2 in front that we factored, that actually counts. So what do we add? 12.5. We need to add 12.5 to the other side. Okay, very important. This is the part that most students, they make a mistake. So now we're going to go ahead and finish this off. So this becomes 2x, and now we're going to deal with we're going to change that to the binomial squared. So that trinomial inside the bracket becomes x minus 2.5 all squared. Great. All right, the 2's in front, that stays. And then here we get minus 11 plus 12.5, that's 1.5. Okay, very simple. Now, in some cases, it's better to just change everything into fraction. Makes it easier if you like to, but if you don't want to, that's okay. So let's change that to fraction. I just want to make sure that you guys don't get too scared of fraction. By the way, 2.5 is 5 over 2. Okay, I'm doing that on purpose now so that you can see what's happening. Fantastic. First thing we do, we're solving for the x, so we need to isolate x on its own. The 2 has to go first. Divide both sides by 2. Here it is. We're dividing both sides by 2. And when we do this, we get x minus 5 divided by 2, all squared, equals to, and when you divide 3/2 by 2, is 3/4. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see that. This is an equation now we have. Now what are we going to do? We're going to take the square root. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take the square root of both sides. Here it is. Here it is. And now our answer will be x minus 5 divided by 2 equals to square root of 3 divided by 2. Okay, and I'm thinking that you know how to do that. The square root of 3 divided by 4 inside the radical, the 4 is a perfect square that can come out. Okay, that's what you will get. And don't forget one more thing. There are 2 possible answers, always positive or negative. Make sure you include that. Excellent. So what are the 2 options? Here it is. I'm going to bring it up here. So the first one, x1 is equal to, let's take the positive square root of 3 over 2, and then that would be plus 5 over 2. Just polish that. So that would be root 3 plus 5 divided by 2. We cannot add root 3 and 5. That's from the radical unit. You know how to do that. Okay, that's the first solution, first root, also they call it the root. And the next one is we take the negative one, so that would be negative root 3 divided by 2, and then plus 5 over 2, and then we polish that, we get negative root 3 plus 5 divided by 2, and that would be our second solution. And that is it. If the question asks you to give your answer to certain decimal expansion, decimal places, then you have to take out your calculators and punch in the numbers root 3, whatever that is, plus 5, whatever that is, divided by 2. And then you're going to get a decimal expansion, and that would be your x1. Okay, the next one will be the x2. Same idea. You can use your calculator as well. Let's look at another example. So first step, isolate the constant term. So let's rewrite that: 2y squared minus 8y, that's equal to negative 3. All right, and the next one is we need to factor the 2 out of the quadratic term, and by doing that we're getting that value, and I am going to leave the minus 3 for now the way it is, but notice that I actually gave a little bit of a space inside the bracket because we have to add something to this. All right, completing the square method. All right, here it is, half of minus 4, that's minus 2. Minus 2 squared is 4, so I'm just going to write down minus 2 squared. All right, but here's the catch. The actual value that we are adding is not just 4, the minus 2 squared 4, but there is this 2 outside that's being multiplied into the bracket. So it's actually 2 times 4 that we are adding to the left hand side of this equation. So whatever we add to one side of the equation, we must add the same to the other side. That's how the balancing works. We have to make sure that the equation is balanced. So here it is, plus 8 to both sides. Great. Now we're going to go ahead and rewrite 2, and then that would be y minus 2 all squared, changing the trinomial, perfect square trinomial to binomial squared, and that equals to positive 5. Great. Final answer, so we have to solve for y. We're going to divide both sides again by 2 in this case. Here it is. We're going to get y minus 2 all squared equals to 5 divided by 2. And then the next step, undo the power of 2, which is the square root of both sides. And when we do that, we get plus or minus. So first of all, the left hand side will be y minus 2. The power of 2 will go away, and then we'll get plus or minus square root of 5 over 2. Once we have that, now we are going to isolate y. So x1 is, let's take the positive square root of 5 divided by 2. The entire thing is under the square root. All right, so positive, and that would be plus 2. Okay, that's one answer. Next answer will be x2 equals to negative root 5 over 2 plus 2. And in both of these cases, you can really take out your calculators and punch in the values and get the actual values, and that would be it. And always, once you get the values, always check your answers. Remember, you plug it back into the original, and the original equation, what was the original equation, is right here. That's the original. You're going to plug it back in there, making sure that the left hand side, when you do the math on that one, equal to 0, and it will be.